I received an email from Tom Ackley, a woodturner out of Pennsylvania, a couple of weeks ago, asking me if I'd be interested in taking a look at a product that he's come up with and give a review on it. Now, he's come up with an abrasive paste and a polishing paste. And there are a lot of those kind of things out there. I've tried quite a few of them. I can't say any of them were bad, but he said he was going to send it to me for free and pay the shipping, which is considerable to Canada, if I would just give it a try. So yeah, I said I would do a review. To do it, I turned this little Manitoba maple bowl and used his abrasive sanding paste and his polish restoring paste. So if you'd like to stick around and see how I did this, and then at the end I'll tell you what I like about this, and if there is anything, what I don't like about it. I did tell him I would do an honest review. So let's go and see how this was put together. I'm starting off with a piece of maple that I cut out of a slab. It's 7 inches in diameter, 1 3/4 thick, and I believe it's Manitoba maple because of the red streaks that are in here. It's always interesting just trying to judge where things are going. There's a knot right here. I think it may be coming across at an angle to here, but it's hard to tell, of course. The pith is right here. I'll be turning that out, and there's a very interesting looking inclusion right here that seems to be following straight across here. So it'll be interesting to see if I can turn that out of there, what the inside of the bowl might look like. I'm going to start out by putting a faceplate on this side, put it on the lathe, turn a recess for my 4-jaw chuck to expand into, shape it, then put it into the chuck and turn the inside. So if you'll stick with me, let's go over to the lathe and see what we come up with. Using a 3/8 inch bowl gouge at 1000 RPM. I need a recess 2 inches in diameter. So I have set my calipers to 1 inch, just a hair over that. I'm going to put the right arm right on the center mark, turn it on at 500 RPM, and then use the left arm to scribe. Now I'm going to use my parting tool to define the edge of this, and then a square scraper from Cindy Drozda to clean this out in here, and then I'll check to see if the chuck will fit properly. Alright, I need it just a hair larger than that. Alright, that's going to work out just great. So now I'll just shape the rest of this. Alright, I'm going to sand this now. Part of the reason I want to sand it is because I want to catch some of the sanding dust and use it to fill this area and this area here. A little CA glue to that. No, actually I'll go with Tight Bond, I believe. And then once that is cured, I'll be able to shear scrape this again. Alright, I have sanded this to 240 grit. I generally sand to 400 grit or finer, but Tom recommends 240 grit, and this is his formula I'm using, so I'm going to go with his instructions and see what we end up with. Now the first thing he says to do is put on 2 coats of sanding sealer. And I'm using my usual methyl hydrate and Zinsser seal coat 50-50 mixture. So I'm going to spin this at 100 RPM, and I'm just going to use some strips of shop towel to put this on. I don't want to put it on too heavy. The more you put on, the more you have to sand off, and it gums up the sandpaper in a hurry if you have too much on there. So I'll do 2 thin coats, sand each one, and then I'll be back. Now it's time to try Tom's abrasive sanding paste. He's called it Axe Abrasive Sanding Paste. He sent me this trial size, 4 ounces. I'm going to use some shop towel and just spread it on here. I'm going to have it turning at 100 RPM. And just try to work it in here real good. Alright, I believe I've got it rubbed in very well. So I'm going to turn this up to 2000 RPM. Take some fresh paper towel or shop towel and see what this buffs up like. And I'll just keep doing this until I don't have any more paste coming off of the wood. Well, I believe that's as clean as I'm going to get the paste off. And I was noticing before a lot of scratches from the sandpaper, and that has done a beautiful job of removing them. It feels nice and smooth. Now I'm going to go on to the next step and using his polishing paste. And here I have Axe Polish Restoring Paste. Tom says it's also good for rejuvenating the wood on cutting boards and things like that. Also, I think it's important that this is all pharmaceutical grade and food safe. So now I'm going to just rub it in real good. Give it a minute or two to soak in, if it actually will absorb into the wood. I'm not sure about that. Then I'll come back, turn this up to a high speed again, and buff it. Oh boy. This is beautiful. What a lovely finish. It's not a high gloss. If you're looking for a high gloss, this isn't going to be it. But it's got a beautiful sheen to it. Feels just lovely. I'm not sure what you've put in here, Tom, but I'm very pleased with it. So I'm going to take this off of the faceplate and reverse it into my 4-jaw chuck. Turn the inside of the bowl, finish that, and then come to a total conclusion. But at this moment, I'm real happy with this. That's a beautiful finish. All right, I've got it reversed now in the chuck. I've brought my tail stock with the live center up for a little support. I always like to start turning with that in there, just in case this should come loose for some reason. This would prevent it from flying right off of here. So I'm going to start at 1000 RPM with my 3/8 inch bowl gouge. Start to straighten up some of this little ragged tearing that's on the corner. And let's see how this turns. Oh, that's looking good. Before I go any further though, I'm going to go and resharpen my gouge. Now you may have been able to tell that when I start the cut, I have the flute closed, which means it's straight up and down. And after it starts to cut, I open it up a little bit and then let it start to really travel along. If I did not start with that closed, there's a pretty good chance that it would want to skate, and naturally it's going to skate that way where I really don't want it to go. So I like to try to avoid that. So now I'm going to start to hollow this out. Okay, it looks like I'm going to be doing some serious filling in here from this side as well, so that I don't tear the whole thing out. And I'm trying to decide whether I want to go with maple again, because this is a little darker, or go with walnut. I don't think it's dark enough to bother with walnut, but I'll do a little more turning first, and then I'm going to have to fill that. All right, I'm going to fill this now with sawdust and Titebond, and I'm also going to fill these little holes. You can just see the end where some of the screws were. And I'm not sure if I'm going to get deep enough without going through it. So I'll fill all this and then I'll be back. All right, I've managed to fill all those spots with glue and sawdust. Now I'm going to take some real light cuts and see if I can't clean that up without tearing it out some more. Alright, that's cleaned it up not too bad, but I'm going to try coming in here with a round scraper carbide tool and see if I can do a slightly better job on that. That's quite a bit better. Some of these areas still seem a little bit porous. I'm going to try just sanding it now, and then go with the sanding sealer and the 2 finishing pastes, see how this works. I'll be back. Alright, sanded to 240, looking pretty good. Now I'm going to go back to the abrasive paste and the polishing paste and just see how this comes out. I now have it sanded to 240 and I have put on the 2 coats of sanding sealer. Now I'll use the abrasive paste again. I'll turn it up to 2000 RPM. Alright, it's clean now, no paste coming off, and it looks good. Now I'll go to the polishing paste. I should point out, one of the things I really like about this polishing paste is that it's so soft. It comes off of there onto your cloth, no problem at all. I've used a number of other ones that are very hard. You almost can't tell if you've wiped any out of the can and onto your applicator cloth. With this, there is no doubt. I quite like that. Spreads on very nicely. Alright, I'm going to apply it at 250 RPM just to try to get it on here nice and even. I'm going to let it sit for a few minutes, then I'll be back to buff it. And now to buff it, I've got it set at 2000 RPM. Oh, that feels so nice. Looks good. Beautiful sheen to it. I'll just take it off the chuck and we'll take a look at it. Well, there's the finished product, and I'm very pleased with it. What I like about Tom's product, probably number one, is that the polish is so soft. You can take a big glob out of there or just a little bit on a cloth. Some of the other ones that I've tried, they're so hard that you can hardly tell you've got anything on the cloth. So I like that a lot. I really like the finish. It's got a nice sheen to it. It feels good. It's not slick like plastic or something like that. So I like that a lot. Now, what don't I like about it? Well, actually, I can only think of one thing I don't like about this. It's not available in Canada. And I understand that. The cost of sending things to Canada is just outrageous. Sending things from Canada is stupid as well. However, if enough of you Canadians or international viewers contact Tom, you never know. If you tell him I'm willing to pay the shipping charges, he might just send some to you. That's up to you. I'm going to put a link in the description box below to the first video I saw of Tom's where he explains this. He's got one or two updated videos since then, so you can check them out. If you're in the US, it boggles my mind how cheaply you can ship things down there. It's more than double the cost to send the small size up here to Canada than it is to send the full size in the US. I envy you that. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you'll give Tom a chance, take a look at his video, maybe do a little corresponding with him. Well, thank you for joining me today. Have a great day in your shop and be safe. I hope you come back next time. Thanks for coming in. Take care now.